In the Keith menu design. Chef Keith here. Today we're just going to do basic 101 how to create your own broth. So if you have a chicken dish, if you're a vegetarian, fish, beef, we're going to give you the basics. Some broths take as a beef broth, it might take you 5-6 hours. If you want a quick chicken broth, it takes 10 to 15 minutes. Alright, so let's get started. There's onions, celery, carrots. Then right here we have some garlic, some parsley, some thyme, some fresh turmeric. So if you're a vegetarian, you can do the turmeric, the vegetables. If you have mushroom scraps, we can do that. The first broth we're going to start off with is the beef. So right here we have some beef bones. If you go to your butcher and you get some steaks cut, or if you go to your local supermarket, you can ask them for beef bones. So I rubbed a little tomato paste. So we have the carrots, the onions, and the celery. All we're going to do is just bake this. So we're going to roast the beef bones so they can get dark in color, so you'll have a rich stock. So right here we have the shrimp shells. We're making the shrimp stock. So we have the shrimp shells, celery, onions, garlic, bay leaves, some fresh thyme. We have a tablespoon of olive oil, so we're letting that cook. So we're going to get it to a nice caramelized color. So if you can see the bottom of the pot, that's the color you want to get, the bottom of the pot. So then what we're going to do is we're going to add some tomato paste. The tomato paste is going to give it a rich dark color. About 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And then we stir that. You don't want to burn it, because it's going to give a bitter taste at the bottom. So what the tomato paste is going to do is caramelize it, the bottom of it. Okay? You see that? You stir it in. And then we're just going to add some water. Cold water. When you make a stock, you always add cold water. Okay? So what's going to happen is you mix all that in. The tomato paste is going to give it that rich, dark color. Now, shrimp stock you can use with lobster if you're making a seafood stew. We're going to add a little salt. A little salt. And then you're going to let that come to a boil, and then you're going to let it simmer for about 20 minutes. So I have a whole chicken head. So what I like to do is I buy the whole chicken, and then I take the scraps and I make a stock. So if you go to your butcher, you can ask them to break the chicken down for you. Me personally, I like to do it. And you know, when you go to, they have the backs. If you don't want to break the chicken down, you can go to the grocery store and you can, we have the chicken broth going on. So we got the carrots, the onions, the celery, we got garlic, we have parsley, we have fresh thyme, we have bay leaves. So this takes, bring it to a boil and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. So in 20 minutes, And if you see right here, the shrimp stock is starting to boil. Once it comes to a boil, you let that simmer 15-20 minutes. In the restaurant business, we call these stocks. At home, most people, we call them broths. So this is how you make your gravies, how you make your sauces. If you're going to make a stew, if you're going to do a soup, this is the best way. It's fresh. If you have a lot of the bouillon cubes or the dry like chicken gravies and the mixes, they have a lot of sodium. So this way you can control it. It's fresh. The shrimp shells, you can buy the shrimp with the shells on and peel them. You can, if you don't want to go through the whole process, you can just put some cold water, a little salt, and bring it to a boil with some garlic, and then like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you will have a nice broth. This way, with the shrimp broth, with you sweat out the vegetables and you add the tomato paste, it gives you that rich dark color. As you can see, it's going to have that dark color. So when it reduces down, the longer you reduce it down, the more flavorful it is. So with the shrimp broth, if you do like a seafood stew, if you have lobster, you have crab, and you want to add shrimp, you just do the broth, a little salt, pepper, whatever fresh herbs. Okay? Look at that rich stock. See the color of it? Nice. So that's what happens when you add the tomato paste. So as it reduces down, you see that rich color. So then what we're going to do is strain it. And then the stock, any stock you can freeze. So if you don't want to use it right away, you can make it a week in advance, a month in advance. If you use it right away, most times 3 days shelf life if you're not going to use it right away. But if you want to strain it, you cool it down and then you put it in the freezer and you can pull it out at any time. You want to add cold water, some salt, bay leaves, whole black peppercorns, and then we're going to let that reduce down. The beef stock takes a little longer, so you roast the bones with the vegetables for at least a half hour, get a nice dark rich. You see the burntness right here? That's fine. That's going to bring out the color in the broth. So let's get ready to transfer it. So you see, after you roast the vegetable, so this cold water, salt, I added the bay leaves, the garlic after I roast the bones. But if you can see, before it's even started, it starts to come up to a boil. You see the color of the broth. The longer you reduce the broth down, the darker it'll get, the more flavorful it'll be. If you want to roast the bones a little longer and you have a little more char, that your broth will be a little richer and a little darker. The tomato paste, what it does is caramelize the bones. So it caramelized all the vegetables, so when you bring it up to a boil, all of that darkness, all that rich flavor comes into the broth. I added fresh thyme. You don't have to. So if you're trying to eat healthy and you're trying to be low sodium, you can make your own broths. So today we made 3 broths within an hour's time. You roast these for a half hour, and a half hour later you got a nice broth. Bring it to a boil, reduce it down for 20 minutes, and then you're done. YouTube channel. If you like this video, please hit subscribe. Or if you want to check out any of my other videos, please. Thank you. Leave comments if you like. If you have any questions, I will answer all your questions.